The Gulf Coast Growth Show is sponsored by Chevron Pasadena Refinery and is an extension of the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region, where our mission is to market and grow a vibrant regional economy. Okay, hey guys, and welcome back to the Gulf Coast Growth Show. I'm your host, Jason Lee, and with my co-host, Zeke Smith.
What's up, Jason?
And we're glad to have you today, and we are joined by Jonathan Schmaltz, the Director of Business Development for McCarthy Builders here in Houston, Texas.
What's up, guys?
Man, we are glad to have you today. Welcome to the show.
Here. Appreciate it, man.
First podcast.
We're
Ready to rock.
Yeah, ready
Awesome.
to do it, man.
Breaking the seal.
So we're going to talk a lot about, not only McCarthy and a little bit about what they do, but we're going to hit up on some technological advances that are taking place in the industry. It's always moving forward, and then share a little bit about some of the projects you guys are. We have a very vibrant economy, and when it comes to this region and this specific area, especially when it comes to CapEx and projects and building, and you guys are a big part of that. So we're going to get to hear some of the work that you guys are doing and maybe some forecasts for upcoming things that are coming down the pipe. So excited to hear what you have to share. But before we dive in, Jonathan, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the industry, and then give us a little background on McCarthy.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, man. I really appreciate you guys having me here. So been doing this, which is really scary to say, coming on 20 years, I think. Wow. 18 years. So went to Texas A&M, graduated in 2005. Upon graduation, moved out to the East Coast with a competitor of what we do in McCarthy Marine business unit, and spent 6 years over in the Southeast doing major project to major project, moving around. And then 2011, wanted to move back to Texas and try to settle down. Did that. Met my wife, and about 4 years ago now, left that organization and started with McCarthy. It's been a great experience, all the projects that I've done throughout the country, and then just the people that you meet, and day-to-day business has been awesome. And, everybody kind of makes a little impact on you. So it's been really cool. But then McCarthy, I got an opportunity to come to McCarthy to be Director of Business Development for the Marine and Industrial Business Unit. And it's been great. We like to proudly say that McCarthy is the oldest privately held construction company in the nation. We date back to 1864 when an Irish immigrant,
Wow.
Pretty cool, man. Irish immigrant moved to Michigan with his family, actually got the start in construction, building barns and houses for his local community. His three sons continued that construction wing on, ended up moving down to the St. Louis area of Missouri, and man, we've been going strong ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. In 2002, the last McCarthy family member to run the organization, Mike McCarthy, he sold it 100% to the employees. So in 2002, we became an employee-owned ESOP, and that's how we operate today. So McCarthy, we operate nationally. We don't do any international work. We've dove off into that a couple times. Pulled back from that recently, but we operate nationally. We have 5 regions, and about 70% of our revenue is made up in what we call our vertical markets, which is where a lot of people might see us and know us from. We do a lot of healthcare centers. We do hospitality and hotels. Some of the stuff that we do in the hospitality space is the Allegiant Stadium for the Raiders in Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We just got
Death Star.
The Death Star. Yeah, man. We just got the contract. We're teaming up with Mortensen on those jobs, but just got the contract to do the A's Stadium as well.
Nice. And
then some of the stuff in Houston that people might recognize us from is the Nancy and Rich Kender Museum of Fine Arts. McCarthy did that. And then 30% of our revenue comes from what we call our specialty markets. So we have a national water wastewater program. We're doing a huge project on the northeast side of Houston right now. I think everybody knows of it as NOOP, Northeast Water Purification Plant. McCarthy's a subcontractor on that billion-dollar project. But we have a massive subcontract. That one's kind of wrapping up, but at the end of the day, that's going to add, I believe it's 320 million gallons a day of drinking water to the Houston and surrounding areas.
Wow.
The water wastewater treatment market is booming, especially in Texas. Obviously, more people coming in, neighborhoods growing, more schools, more things, more people. It's a market that is flourishing. So I expect us to see a lot more of those giant level plants. Dallas has a ton going on there.
So we're working on one right now with Pearland. So I think it's the Barry Rose project.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but in addition to that, we have a national utility scale solar business where we build utility scale solar farms all over the nation. And then me specifically, I work for our Marine and Industrial Business Unit. Right now, we operate primarily on the Southeast Gulf Coast. But yeah, we do a ton of work for Port Houston. We wrapped up a job recently here for Port Freeport. And then, do some work for some of the private petrochemical companies on the ship channel as well. So
great.
the
We'll
ship
get to hear a
channel is
little bit
our
more about
home.
that
And
later.
we love it,
But I
man.
think one of the things you wanted to hit on today was technology and kind of some of the changes and shifts that you guys are seeing. Can you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, technology is always changing.
Right.
I mean, this podcast is an excellent example, like from where you guys started to where we're at now. This studio is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love what you guys done with the place.
Shout out to Amanda from the Economic Alliance. She's been doing a
we
great
actually
job
we
today.
sleep here now. It's that comfortable.
Yeah.
So we actually we're roomies.
It's hard to not want to be in a room full of pictures of yourselves.
That's right. That's right. That's right. They can't see that, but we do.
Vanity is my only shortcoming.
That's right. There you go. Wake up every morning. Oh, there I am.
There I am. This is fantastic. Yeah. So tell us about tech.
So, I mean, and really the theme that I want to really hit on here is tech is always advancing and changing, and we try to leverage it, especially at McCarthy. We leverage it in every aspect that we can. Most recently, we've invested in a small unmanned vessel boat that is loaded with hydrographic gear, side scan sonar gear, so we can deploy that. I mean, it can be trailered in the back of a pickup truck. A couple of guys can unload it, deploy it at a project site, and then we can go get real-time information of what is under the water surface, under your dock, look for obstructions, look for anything like that. And it's been great.
Kind of like a drone boat?
It's like a drone boat, yeah.
That's cool.
I was going to say kind of like a drug sub. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
But it goes under the water, and then it goes out and it helps you guys to see where you're.
It's all above the water, but I mean, it deploys everything and scans underwater.
Wow.
So we get a clear picture of the mud line and what's underneath there, and it's been extremely useful in a lot of our projects. But technology can only take you so far. At the end of the day, we like to affectionately say at McCarthy, it all boils down to relationships. The relationships you have with the people you're working with, both the clients and the owners, the vendors, the subcontractors. So we got to maintain clear lines of communication and be able to have those solid relationships to always fall back on.
Yeah, the relationships give you the opportunity to sell that technology. Right?
Absolutely.
Those advancements, those capabilities. That's what's really important.
Good way to put it, Z.
You mentioned the drone boat and types of projects. So for those laymen, including myself, that may not know exactly what the Marine Division does on the port, certainly we've seen the construction, the laydown yard, some of that stuff that happens on the port. But what are some of the on the water or right on the water's edge type of work that you guys are doing?
Yeah, so right now we're wrapping up Wharf 6 for the Port Houston Authority.
Okay.
It's at the Bayport Container Terminal.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have seen this like all over LinkedIn and whatnot. The port's been very, very proud of it, as are we. But it's the new iteration of the port's ability to bring containerized traffic from all over the world and then export containerized cargo all over the world, which is one cool thing we always like to say, like on our vertical markets, we build really neat stuff all over the country. What we do in our marine and industrial business unit like actually touches the world, right? So
No doubt.
on the water's edge, that Wharf 6 project was all founded on drilled shafts. So we had, I think at one point in time, we had 7 barges with cranes on them. They're all floating on the water that we were using to build that job.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So what is like, just real quick, I don't have to get really into the details too far deep, but what are you building when you say the wharf? Are you dredging? Are you putting more dirt? Are you putting piers? And what exactly are you doing?
Everything,
Okay.
all of the above. So
Okay.
that project in particular had a pretty sizable dredging component. So
Okay.
it come in, remove a bunch of the dirt and the earth to be able to allow those vessels to come in
Right.
and have the proper draft or under keel clearance, right? So
Yeah.
they weren't, hitting the bottom.
Literally deep in the channel right there, right?
Literally deepening the channel. All this is in support, of Project 11 ultimately.
Sure.
And the Neo-Panamax vessels that are coming through the Panama Canal now. But yeah, from there, we put in those foundation units, which in this instance were drilled shafts. And then on top of that, we do a bunch of precast or cast in place concrete and then set precast panels on them, pour the decks, put in these massive crane rails that look like train tracks.
Yep.
And then this particular job, the port brought in 2 new ship-to-shore gantry cranes that they brought in on the ship. I believe it was from China. And then they walked those cranes off onto the new dock. And then they're deployed to load and unload containers off of these vessels that are coming from all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
We talked about
in
improving the dredging so ships that can get in through the Panama Canal, because I think that's a big opportunity for us and something that's been going on for not only in the last few years, but it's going to continue to be progressive over the next few years. Because this port just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
100%.
And by being able to circumvent that, it's also going to help us from a revenue perspective as far as driving more stuff.
For sure.
into our
So
port.
we talk about supply chain issues
Right.
and the pandemic and all that. I mean, we're literally fixing or attempting to fix those issues.
Yeah, we're
right
shoring
away.
it up, right?
Yeah,
We're shoring it
Pun
all up.
intended there, yeah.
Yeah. Man, look at that.
Hey-o.
I didn't even do that on purpose,
Yeah.
but I love it.
And you said dive in earlier.
Yeah.
Like we're punning it
Dude,
up
we're-
today. We're diving in. We're talking, man. We're
This is a good-
all over it today.
Yeah, good morning, man.
Yeah.
It's natural.
On fire. On fire.
But yeah, no, 100%. I mean, and I think the Port Houston, which the Port Houston in and of itself is really special. And, we hear a lot about public-private partnerships all over the place these days. Like in my mind, the Port Houston overall complex is one of the largest public-private partnerships and probably the globe, if you think about it. When you have Port Houston Authority, the U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and then you have, I believe it's 200 private companies that have access or are influenced by the Houston Ship Channel and the port itself. So it's just this massive public-private partnership of economic driver. And I think the Port Houston Authority and just the regional community really, what we did during the pandemic was they saw the need for that. And rather than really kind of pull back, we put our foot on the gas and said, look, if this is a indication of anything to come, we're going to need that infrastructure here. So let's build it, right? Let's be ahead of the curve. And
Absolutely.
that's where they're at. And you're still seeing that with a lot of the projects that are coming out for the Port Houston Authority and that we're actually actively tracking and looking at. So yeah, it's been really cool to be a part of.
So speaking of that, is there anything that you guys are tracking or you've been awarded recently that you can share with some upcoming things around this region?
So we just put a bid in on the Wharf 7, which is the adjacent wharf to Wharf 6. We're waiting to hear back on who that's going to get awarded to. There's another one that's in the hopper right now. I think it bids next week from the time of this broadcast, but that's the Wharfs 4 and 5 upgrade at the Barber's Cut Terminal, which is the older container terminal. And then, they're doing a bunch of stuff on the back end with container yards, and we do that work as well. So right now we're doing a container yard upgrade at Barber's Cut, container yard 4 and 5. We're expecting some more large container yards to come out next year for the port. So yeah, the port's definitely not slowing down at all, it seems.
If you'll oblige me, what does a container yard upgrade consist of basically? What do you do? Repaving it or what is it?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So, these containers, call them boxes, right? 40, 20-foot metal containers that we put just whatever, all these products globally in.
Sure.
They get set down and picked up off of these concrete slabs thousands and thousands of times, and you have heavy equipment and trucks and everything running over the slabs.
Wore out.
Man, just tears them up, right? So the port makes a massive investment in coming in. They remove all the boxes or containers off of one, turn it over to us. We demo out everything, dig it up. A lot of times it consists of putting in new underground utilities, new dirt work, earthwork, and then putting in new concrete.
In effect, it's like a turnaround of the plant, right? You're just you're going in.
It's a little bit longer.
Well, longer than that, but same
A lot
concept,
longer.
right? You have to turn it over and get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can't just continue to live on it.
Yeah, like every asset, it wears out.
Yeah,
right?
it's going to wear out.
Got to be replaced.
It's interesting how many layers of just keeping the port running there are, right? Who would have thought you got to take all these containers off, rip up the pavement, essentially, redo it. And it's not just like rip it up and laying it back down, right? You got to consistently do all the earthwork and dirt work. And
yeah, to that point, like the layers that occur, and I'm sure it's everywhere, but especially here in the Houston Ship Channel, like it's amazing that our modern day lives are as seamless as they really are, right? And give a shout out here to my buddies over at the Houston Pilots, but not too long ago, I was fortunate enough to do a ride along with the pilots on one of their transits. Cool. Yeah, when you see that and you see the amount of work that goes into just getting these vessels from the Gulf of Mexico into all of these docks and these facilities safely, to be honest with you, I'm not upset on paying $3 plus for a gallon of gas because it is amazing the amount of effort, and to your point, to replace these assets and both the Port of Houston, but all the private petrochemical clients up and down the ship channel. Yeah. It's really something impressive.
You walk into a Costco and we just take it for granted because we see everything on the shelves and we see these massive warehouses full of stuff. And then you drive down and you see industrial warehouses full of stuff. Just, that's worked its way through there.
Right.
And we don't realize that on one end, there got guys like you shutting it down, tearing it up, making it where we can get more stuff in. On the other end, you got pilots navigating this crazy stuff, and then it gets down, and then you got some truckers that are getting it off the truck and getting it up the road.
100%, man.
I mean, even back up further. Think about your Amazon box on your front porch tonight when you get home. Like all the things that go.
All 42 of them.
42 of them. Yeah.
Thanks, honey.
Yeah. Right. That's right. That's right. I'm sure half of them are not yours.
All three of us. Yeah, exactly. All three of us have this problem, right?
It's good.
Yeah.
She gets tired of listening to me anyway, so I don't have to worry about her.
Yeah,
Jason's are mostly hair products.
She's
So.
100%.
100% on the front side. Yeah. And then shoe shine for the back.
Wow. I love when Jason does jokes about himself.
I don't want to run out of time. So
sorry.
But I digress.
I digress. But great stuff. I think it encapsulates what we hope to message in the show, which is just the tremendous amount of opportunities, and it's just going to continue to come, and basically this ecosystem of economic development that we have in our region. Real quick before we shift gears, or as we shift gears, any big news or anything that you want to share for your organization?
No, I mean, McCarthy's always growing. We've had a really good last several years nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
I think I hit on it a little bit earlier, but we have 5 regions. Each region is doing really big things. We're in a pretty big push, and we're being very successful of being more collaborative across all of the various business units in the regions. So, I mean, something that we got coming up here, McCarthy-wise, so we do two kind of major meetings a year. Our spring shareholders meeting, where we talk about where we're going each year and what the year's annual operating plan looks like. And then our fall seminar, kind of wrapping up the year. We got fall seminar coming up here in, I think, 2 weeks or so. So just get everybody together. Our CEO, Ray Sade, always likes to say, even through the pandemic, that ultimately we're better together. So we like to be in the same room as much as possible and interact and communicate and really get to know one another. So that's coming up. But
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I wish I was here to announce a big job, a big win, but
we'll get you back for that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Next time we'll do it.
We can always talk about big wins. We like to talk about those, celebrate those big time. We had Cajun on before talking about their big wins, so we want to do that for you guys.
Cajun's been having a lot of big wins lately.
Yeah, they've got that big Japanese-owned plant coming.
Nice.
That's a start right here. So they found the land. It's good stuff. All right. So other than seeing you mingling and socializing at Economic Alliance events, which we have last couple of years, what else are you, Jonathan, involved in as far as industry organizations or other community works?
Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to kind of give a plug to is the Western Dredge Association, our Gulf Coast chapter. It's affectionately known as WEDA. But, all of the commerce, everything we're talking about, like none of it takes place if we don't have navigable waterways for this cargo to transit through. And WEDA is a huge proponent of that, and it helps advocate and drive the industry's recognition of how important dredging is. So WEDA Gulf Coast chapter, the secretary this year on the board.
Okay.
So we do an annual, thanks, man, I think. We'll see how it goes.
Careful what you ask for, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure. I know that too well.
Yeah. So we do an annual conference. They shift between Mobile, Alabama, New Orleans, and then Galveston.
Mm-hmm.
This year we're back in Galveston. I believe it's November the 6th through the 8th. We're going to have our annual conference down there. So if anybody's interested, please feel free to hit me up or go check out the WEDA website, and there'll be more information on there where you can register or sponsor. But we hope to see a lot of folks down in Galveston early November. It's usually a good time. A lot of good information presented. I mean, there's a ton going on with Project 11 that will be discussed, and we're wrapping up the overall agenda right now. So I can't give you any details, but it'll be fun. I can tell you that.
Very relevant for sure.
Well, as we get ready to wrap up, we've got a, I guess, what we call like a public service announcement, something like that.
Oh, man.
Just try to help other people,
Yeah, so I was
like a G.I. Joe moment. Right?
Yeah,
So it's
right.
half the battle.
half the battle.
So
I wish I was telling you guys this.
Issue.
Yeah, man. So I was thinking I was going to be here with this massive brace on my arm and going to need a little bit of time to
The old Craig
explain it.
Biggio elbow pad deal.
Well, you remember J.J. Watt whenever he was with
yeah.
the Texans, and I literally had one of those on until yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So my kid actually thought it was pretty cool, J.J. Watt-esque. But yeah, so public service announcement, a cautionary tale. We always preach safety is the most important thing we do at McCarthy, and we try to start everything off with a safety moment. And we are always harping on our guys and gals in the field to, practice what you preach, and us as well, take that away from work and work safe at home. So I was out wrestling a bear, and then
Nice.
it kind of wore me down a little bit. And No, but God, I wish that was a true story.
Yeah.
I'm going to expose myself a little bit here. I was actually loading my kid's old toy play kitchen in my truck, and like an idiot, I was trying to do it by myself and ruptured my right bicep tendon.
Wow.
Yeah. So thought I was going to be on here with
Pretty
a big
hardcore.
brace. Yeah. It was,
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the initial pain of that was just this like
yeah.
searing, like someone cut me through
I
the
bet
arm.
that was pretty embarrassing having to explain that to the girls at the nail salon.
Dude. when they had a hard time getting to my hand with this brace. You know, I was like this. But, so I couldn't do the manis, but the petties were good, right?
There you go. There you
So
go.
note to self, safety first.
Safety
Always,
first. I should have never
always-
been doing that by myself, but I thought I was going to have this
always a
big
good
brace. Yeah. The funny part of that story is when I found out I was going to have surgery on the arm. Like I literally watched the bicep roll up in my arm. I was like, man, this is not good. But when I found out I was going to have surgery on my arm, I went home and I told my son, and I said, dude, like I had to get surgery because I was loading your toy in my truck. He's like, Daddy, if you would have just left it where it was, you wouldn't be in this mess. Like, well, he's not wrong.
He's right.
Children's wisdom, man.
Yeah.
You know?
From
It's
the
like,
mouth
no,
of
if you would
babes.
help me, you need to get up, start working out, help me
Then
load
he
this
got
thing.
sent to his room.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, hey, we've really had a great time having you on the show today. We
Lot of
want to
fun,
thank you and
Yeah.
your organization for all the work that you guys contribute to the region. And again, for our audience, we always want to keep you tuned in to really the great things that are happening. Jonathan, the rest of the folks that we bring on the show, you can always reach out to us through LinkedIn, stay connected and stay plugged into us. And make sure you stay up to speed as this show gears up, because you should see it before the Gulf Coast Industry Forum. So a big shout out to that. If you haven't got your tickets, make sure you get them and get out to that on September 21st. And we look forward to talking to you guys and seeing you on next week's episode. Again, thanks again, Zeke. Thank you as always.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Hey, man, appreciate it, guys.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to go to the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region website and subscribe to our channels. And let's pay it forward by sharing the good news of what's happening in our region by passing this episode to somebody you know.